And shout out to all of the members who are paid members. I gotta say that, man. Shout out to all the paid members. We definitely appreciate y'all for being contributors to the channel and helping us continue to make content and making it worth our while, man. So I appreciate all of y'all. So I'm gonna do a series of top fives of current players, right? I'm gonna go over what I look for when I rank players and when I judge players, quite frankly. And then I'm gonna share with you, who I got year 2024-25 so far. We're like 15 games into it. So I'm taking into account a lot of different things, most of this season for sure, but also, just some history on these players, so that's how I'm kind of rounding out who I rank in my top five by position. So we're going to do point guards this episode. I do want to shout out my members. We got a new member, Big T, who signed up 2 days ago with the pro level. But we got also OD but goodies, right hand Cam, Mikey Brass, Big T, Doc Holly, 003, Andrea Williams, James Reed, Demetrius Day, Taco Master, Beast Mode Bones, 33 Siggy, Cedric Franklin, Ida Thomason, E King, Steve Calvert, the Joker 687, Scott Merriweather, Unspoken Voices, Taco Master 64 Slim, Savant Arnold, Jay Barrett, WW, Shay J, Arbeen, Jeffrey Goward, Shy Rider West Side of 23, Ashley H, Micah Tafoya, Wizman Ballin, and Malachi Israel. Appreciate y'all for being members and being contributors to the channel. This episode is for y'all. This series is for y'all. I doubt I will make any of these public. Maybe one. I might just make one of these public, whichever one I think is, I don't know. Whichever one I think I should share to the public, I'll make that public. But the rest of it, all the other positions, I probably have them stay for members only. So y'all can have exclusive content. But let's get started, right? Right. So as you know, every year, ESPN, Bleacher Report, NBA.com, just a whole bunch of different platforms are put out there. I think CBS does it as well, put out their top 100. And just so y'all know, once I get my website going, I plan on doing stuff like that as well. I release my top 10, top 100s, whatever the case may be, every year. I got a bunch of other things I got planned that I want to start doing. But it's, that's to come. But like I was saying, everyone puts out their top whatever, and they just be wild, because there's no rhyme or reason on how they're coming up with this. Like, it's not like they have a criteria that we could, kind of hold their feet to the fire on, right? They're just picking people randomly, almost based on who they like, who's being marketed, who's not being marketed, and based on popularity, and like one guy be disqualified for something that applies to several other guys that's not disqualified. So specifically Kyrie Irving, players like that, I mean, they just hold him in low regard when it comes to these lists every single time. But when you hear the players, the current players and the former players speak, they don't speak about no one as in high regard as Kyrie Irving. Right. So, just go figure. It's a huge discrepancy between player and coaches, what they think about Kyrie Irving versus what the media think. And I think that's interesting. So I think that's really important for us to put out honest, objective critiques about these players and when we make these lists. So I'm doing point guards today. I'm doing point guards for this segment, as you can see from the rundown. And I want to start with honorable mentions first, because first of all, the way the league has changed, it's a small man's game. It's a point guard league. Most of the teams that, they give their best player, regardless of what position they play, they give their best player the ball and allow him to have the green light to shoot and score from wherever he wants to. They cater the offense based on giving him as much space as possible. So they put two people at the corner, two shooters at the corner specifically. Another shooter on the wing on the weak side of the ball, and then a big man setting screens for him. And it doesn't matter who your best player is, if he's a point guard or not. That seems like the offense everyone's running. Even if you got Jokic as your best player, he's also your playmaker with the floor spread, with all the room to work with, and then shooters around him that he can just pass it to and get an assist. LUKA at 6'8", not a point guard, but they give him the ball and let him operate like one. It's the same way. James Harden, not a point guard, but they give him the ball, let him operate the same way. So most teams are doing that. LeBron James, not a point guard, but they give him the ball and operate the same way. My definition of a point guard is different from whoever just got the ball in their hand doing the dirty work. I mean, because if that was the case, Draymond Green would be the point guard for Golden State and Domantas Sabonis would be the point guard for Sacramento, but that's not the case, right? I don't see LeBron James and Harden and Luka Doncic as point guards. But mentioning that also means that you got a lot of point guards who are able to showcase their skills. So when you start going down a list of who the best players are, there are a lot of point guards who've actually, been able to show all of their arsenal and all of their skills, and that leaves a lasting impression on your mind on who's the best. So you got to kind of be deliberate about how you dissect it and decipher it, right? So with that being said, it's so many point guards to choose from, and I'm trying to make a top 5. And the crazy thing about it is, it's very hard to narrow it down to 5, right? It's almost 11 point guards that all deserve top 5 consideration. So I'm doing first and second team for the point guards, and then an extra one for honorable mention, right? So for honorable mention, before I get to the second team, I'm going to go with Drew Holiday. He's not the number 1 on his team. He's not the number 2. He's not even the number 3. That's Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, right? And then he might have competition at number 4 with himself, Derek White, and Al Horford. So he's not carrying that load. So you can't look at his numbers and see how good he is. You just got to know how good he is by watching and observing his game and understanding if the numbers don't jump out at you, there's a reason why the numbers don't jump out at you. But he's more than capable of being everything that Jamal Murray is in Denver, and we're seeing that his shoes can't even be filled by Dame Lillard in Milwaukee. So, and then what he does defensively is insane as well. So, I really wanted to give him much consideration and put him as high as possible, but I had to be true to my criteria because I do give more consideration to players who are operating in that number 1 or at least that number 2 role on their team, because that's the most pressure to perform under. And if you're able to succeed under that pressure, I have to give you consideration over the next guy who's on a huge team with a lot of players who he don't have the pressure on him night in and night out. He can play it by ear. He can get his teammates involved, and then if they missing the game, they out for a game, then he can step up. Or if they in foul trouble, or if they just don't have it at night, then he can step up. But he don't have to be the guy to step up for 82 games plus playoffs. He can coast. So you got to give credit to the guys who's playing the number 1 and number 2 role. So he gets honorable mention for me. And for my second team, I just put him out there. I have, and it's going to seem controversial to a lot of people, but like I said, LUKA is not a point guard. He's a small forward who they give the ball to. So LUKA would not be on my first or second team for point guards. But Ja Morant is. And a lot of people might have Ja Morant still in their top 5. You'll see my top 5, but Ja Morant, Darius Garland, who's a number 2 or number 3 in Cleveland, but a very successful team. Jalen Brunson, who a lot of people really have in their top 5. So that's 3. Dame Lillard and Trey Young. All right, so that's my second 5. They didn't make my top 5. I know that's crazy. I know y'all want to see who my top 5 is. So no Trey Young, no Dame, no Morant, no Brunson, and no who was this? Oh, Darius Garland. So that's my 5 for the second 5. So many point guards, right? So who do I got as my top 5? I start at number 5. Before I start at number 5, I want to play for y'all. Give it arenas talking about the point guards, and one point guard in particular that I want y'all to keep in mind. This is what they were saying about the point guard position this season.
Today, right now, you drafted them. Who you taking?
Oh, we drafted.
Wait, what age?
Nigga, oh my God. I just asked one question. Who you taking right now, Trey or Melo? Because they got LaMelo. I mean, my bad.
You said LaMelo?
Yeah, they got LaMelo.
That's like 5.
They got LaMelo top 10. Is he top 10?
Yes.
Best point guard right now?
Yes.
Top 10?
Yeah.
Top 10 point guard in the league?
Right now?
Absolutely. LaMelo?
Shit.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
very, very comfortable.
Wait, where do you have him at?
I got him like 11, 10.
Wait. Point guards right now?
Yeah.
Who's your top 5
what
point
number
guards
comes
right
first,
now?
10 or 11?
You got Luka.
So I got him like 11.
Okay.
10.
Okay.
You got Luka.
Okay.
Right now, I probably have him more Dame, but I'm talking about before I would have Luka, Steph, Ja, Fox, Kyrie.
Didn't you have LaMelo at top 5 at one point? That's what.
You be arguing me and say LaMelo's a top 5 point guard right now.
Yeah, but he was hurt. He been hurt. That was first year. First year he was balling.
First year, rookie had him top 5 point guard in the league.
Now
He averaged 29 and what right now?
He's averaging 6 and 5 and 6, 6 and 5.
He top 5 right now. Right now in the
29, 6 and 5 rebounds, 44% from the field, 37% from 3, 84% from the line.
Jalen Brunson, I'm tripping. Okay, I've got to think.
See, the thing with LaMelo is he's a pure point, but he has the ability to just be a scorer if he wanted.
The first 10 games, he top 5 right now. If we
top 5
point guard, yeah, the top, yeah. 29
production, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Before this,
Yeah.
what does Hallie have?
So Halliburton.
24 and 12.
Yep, and I'm on record saying that right now. And Dame's been hooping too, but he's better than Dame right now.
So this season, Halliburton is averaging 17, 8 assists, 4 rebounds. The Pacers' first 10
Okay,
games.
that ain't even close then.
He's getting it back together. Yeah,
No, I mean Trey Young. I'm sorry, Trey Young.
Trey Young
was 24 and 12.
Yeah, 24 and 12.
They're right there. They're both right there then. 24 and they're both.
LaMelo 6. I'm gonna go with LaMelo.
you got Shea.
That's not like
You got Shea. I'm good.
Drafting him right now. I'm gonna go LaMelo.
LaMelo.
He threw the caveat in a drafting him.
Yeah.
6'7" LaMelo Ball.
I
Absolutely.
bet you his team.
But as career stands right now, Trey Young.
All right, so you heard them talking about Melo and Trey Young. They mentioned a couple other guys in that segment. That segment's probably like 10 minutes long. If y'all want to go check out Gil's Arena and hear how Brandon Jennings, Kenyon Martin, Nick Young, and Gilbert Arenas talked about it. I appreciated them talking about Melo because with him having his injuries, his rookie season was promising, but having ankle injury after ankle injury and, then having surgery, he couldn't catch his stride. Like, as soon as he started to do well, he'll have the injury. But this year, starting the season out very healthy, having a team around him. I really like Brandon Miller as a second-year player. I mean, he shoots the ball really well from 3. He gets to the cup. I think he's going to develop into a really good player if they can keep Melo and Brandon Miller there in that backcourt. That's good. They got Trey Mann coming off the bench, who's another point guard who is an automatic scorer. I mean, he's a cross, but he's not as good as Iverson, of course, but he plays like Iverson. But he's better than Trey Burke, who is another guy who kind of played a little bit like Iverson when he got to his prime when he was in the league. So he was a little bit above Trey Burke to me. under Iverson, of course. Iverson a Hall of Famer, but Trey Mann is very good. So with Trey Mann coming off the bench playing the point guard position, and then you have Steph Curry as well. You got minutes being taken from Melo a little bit, and he's only getting 33 minutes a game, right? So to compare that to De'Aaron Fox, who's getting 37 minutes, or Luka, who's getting 37 minutes, or Cade Cunningham getting 36, 37 minutes, and Trey Young getting 36 minutes. They're getting a little bit more time on the floor with him. They don't have a backup that deserves minutes on the floor as well, like a Trey Mann. So, but what he is doing is getting a lot of shots up, right? He's shooting 23 shots a game. He's shooting a lot of threes. He's shooting, godly, he's shooting more threes a game than Luka. He's actually playing like Luka, which I'm not too fond of. I don't like because the thing about LaMelo is he's really, like Gilbert Arenas said, he's really a pure point guard. He really can come out there and play like Rondo. He really could come out there and just average 10 plus assists, play defense, run the break, and feed someone like Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. But in order for him to play like that, he's got to have Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen on this team, right? He's got to have someone where he can feed that ball. But what's unique about him that Rondo, I would say he did have, Rondo do got a scorer's mentality. I don't know when he turned into this pass first guy. Maybe when he went pro. I think in college and high school, he definitely was putting up points. He was definitely a scorer. But you get to the league and you find out, hey, man, I'm playing with Big Ticket. I'm playing with Al Jefferson. I'm playing with Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, all these scorers, that I'm not a better scorer than them. I can't even shoot that well, right? If I'm Rondo. So, yeah, quite naturally, he turned into a passer. But Melo has more ability to score. He can shoot it. He's 6'7". He's bigger. I mean, Melo was just special. He's good. So I guess he came out and felt real good and felt real healthy, and maybe having this coach Lee come from Boston, who you see the philosophy here in Boston. They put up a lot of 3-pointers. Tatum, Brown, White, Horford, Porzingis, Holiday. They're shooting. Pritchard coming off the bench shooting. They're shooting threes. They're spreading their floor. And maybe Lee came over there with that philosophy and told Melo he can light it up, because Mann is lighting up and Miller is lighting it up. And so is Bridges. Bridges getting his fair share of threes up as well, right? So he's shooting more threes more than usual. He's shooting at 36%. So it ain't like he's shooting at a bad percentage. But it's a lot of threes. And it's gotten him averaging 30 points. He's averaging 30 points a game, which is the most for any point guard in the league, and even including if you think Luka's a point guard. He's averaging more than Luka, and Luka put some point. He put some shots up. He shoots more than LaMelo. He shoots 23 times a game, slightly higher than Melo at 23.1. Luka's shooting at 23.2. So he's shooting slightly more, but LaMelo is shooting about 2 more threes than him a game. Melo shooting a higher percentage than Luka, 44% versus 42. He shoot the free throw better. He shoot the three better, percentage wise. He's just, and I think he's a better defender than Luka, right? What will probably ever be. So Melo Ball is my number 5. I know I took the long route to say that, but Melo Ball is my number 5, and my number 4 is going to be Kyrie Irving. Now, Kyrie Irving used to be my number 2 right behind Steph some years ago. Actually, I used to, teeter-totter between which one of them was number 1. But you'll see who I got at number 1 once we get there. But I got Kyrie at number 4. The reason why, and I think he's, as far as offense, he's still number 1 and number 2 between him and Steph at number 1 as the offensive guard. However, I think the people I have ahead of him have close enough offense to him. Not as great as his as scoring abilities he has, but I think what puts them over Kyrie right now is their defensive intensity and capabilities. And I'm not saying Kyrie is a bad defender; he's capable and he puts in the effort. But sometimes, I mean, they're point guards, but they're better defenders than him. Just put it that way, right? And then for the ones who are ahead of him, who are not better defenders than him, their results, of them being a number one and getting the results, in the in the team success department, in the win department, I will put that ahead of Kyrie, right? So for now, Kyrie is my number 4. But this is the unique thing about Kyrie, and this is insane. As a number 2 playing behind LUKA, who's a point guard who has to play off the ball unless LUKA, either go sit down or on the bench, or like tonight LUKA missed the game, and lo and behold, Kyrie Irving led Dallas to a win over the best team in the West, OKC Thunder. Imagine that. And then he didn't have to dominate the ball to do it. He only shot the ball 16 times, where LUKA is shooting at 23 times at a low clip, just jacking it up. And then 10 threes a game that LUKA is shooting. And then the turnovers he's averaging. LUKA's averaging, 4 turnovers a game? Some games he's having 6, 7 turnovers, right? Kyrie had 1 turnover tonight against OKC. He only shot it 16 times for 22, 23 points. He didn't have to go out there and get 35 for them to win, right? So something, that's something that Dallas got to look at, right? So my thing, and that's a whole nother video. I won't go too far into that, but my thing is that they have to make LUKA play his natural position, which is small forward. Let Kyrie be the point guard. I mean, just think about it. In order to pretend like LUKA is the point guard for this team, you got at least 2 guys on the floor with him playing out of position. Well, 3 guys, including LUKA. In order for LUKA to pretend like he's the point guard, there's 3 guys playing out of position, because now you got Kyrie playing the 2, and now you got Klay Thompson playing the 3. And then, depending on who you start that game, if it's PJ Washington, you got PJ Washington playing the 4. His natural position is probably the 3. Klay's is the 2. Kyrie's is the 1. Right? So what really should be going on, Kyrie is the 1, Klay is the 2, LUKA is the 3. And then if you want to play small, then PJ Washington at the 4, cool, you got 1 guy out of position. Right? And then, of course, you're starting Lively or Gafford. But to have 3 guys, possibly 4 guys out of position just so we can have LUKA be our point guard is just nonsense to me. So, but yeah, Kyrie Irving is averaging 25 points as a number 2. I don't think there's no number 1 that has a 25-point score this season. It might just be LUKA that got I double check that. That's another topic. But he's averaging 25 this year. But this is the unique thing about his 25, because if you look at all the point guards and you look at their shooting percentages, if you're a big point guard or you're a big wing player, it makes sense for you to be able to get to the hole and get some easy baskets and have some mismatches and stuff like that and have a high shooting percentage. But when you look at LUKA at 6'7", shooting 42%, remember, people drop Kobe Bryant in the all-time ranking list because he shot at 44% for his career, when we know Kobe Bryant took a lot of mid-range jump shots. It wasn't like that when he got to the hole, he missed a lot of shots or he missed a lot of open shots. He wasn't that type of player where he missed open shots or easy shots. It was just the fact that he took contested 2s from mid-range. And that's just how he was. The only person who took those type of shots and shot it at a 50% clip was Michael Jordan, and that he's the GOAT. But when you look at like Ray Allen, who's one of the greatest shooters ever, he shot a lot of jump shots, and jump shots are not high percentage shots. Right. So neither are threes. I like, a good 3-point shooter is 34-35%. So if a mid-range is just a tougher shot as a three, but in most instances, you don't get a wide open mid-range. Most of the time you have to rise up with a hand in your face for a mid-range. Those threes usually come sometimes open, somebody doubled, somebody drove to the hole and got doubled and kicked out to a shooter. Or you throw the ball in the post to somebody like Shaq and he gets doubled and kick out to a shooter. So a lot of 3-point shots are really open shots. And we're satisfied with 35% for that. Right. That's a good shooter. Right. But contested mid-ranges, they don't come off of double team, drive and kick. You can't drive and kick to a mid-range because that's the spacing ain't there. The drive would have never happened. The pass probably would have never happened. You know what I mean? So you don't drive and kick to a mid-range. Mid-ranges are usually ISO 1-on-1 shots. So Kobe shot that at 44%, but LUKA is at 6'8", and he gets in the post a lot with a mismatch and all this stuff, and and 42%, and no one's talking about it. I mean, 42% is not a good thing, right? Trey Young, small point guard, 38% field goal shooting. Right, Jamal Murray, 39%. Tyrese Halliburton, 40%. You get what I'm saying? You get my drift? So I say all that to say this: the only point guards, I'm gonna name you some point guards, and I want you to just keep this in mind and think about the shots that they take. Tyler Hero is having a phenomenal season, averaging 24 points a game, right? He's shooting it at 50%, 49.7% from the field, right? And 45.7% from three. That's Tyler Hero, right? And he's a shooter. All right, let's go to Steph Curry, 47.9%. So he's at 48%, and he's shooting at 43% from three. 43%. And 45% from three is insane for shooters. Tyler Hero at 45.7%, and one of the greatest shooters of all time, Steph Curry, at 43.2% and 47.9% from the field overall. Right. And then you look at a big guard like SGA, 49% from the field goal. Right. De'Aaron Fox, 51%. From field goal, but they're three. It's only 34.5 for Fox and 30.7 for SGA, right? So that three is low. I want you to listen to Kyrie Irving shooting percentages right here. Now, this is a guy who's done 50-40-90 twice, and I don't know if it was him or KD. I think it was KD who got close to a 60-40-90 a couple of years ago, right? But Kyrie Irving has done 50-40-90. Steph has done it. Reggie Miller has done it. KD has done it. Mark Price have done it. Steve Nash has done it. Larry Bird has done it. That's the list, 50-40-90, right? Listen to Kyrie Irving. Now, remember, greatest shooter in the game right now, Steph, phenomenal season, 48% from the field, 43 from three. Kyrie Irving averaging 24.9 points a game in 35 minutes. Is shooting it at a 55% clip from field goal and a 52% clip from three. Let that sink in. So that's phenomenal. Number 4, I got him at number 4. De'Aaron Fox, I just mentioned him. I got him at number 3. He just had a 60-point game 2 nights ago. And then last night he finished it off with on the back end of a back-to-back, finished it off with 40. Did he have 49? He was in the 40s. So 60 one night and in the mid-40s the next night. That's an insane doubleheader. But that's what he's capable of. And then he locks up and plays D. That's the only reason why I put him above Kyrie. is because you can use De'Aaron Fox to actually go and lock down a player, not even lock down, but really bother a player. Any point guard on this list, Steph Curry, Kyrie, anybody, you can throw De'Aaron Fox on him and be okay with not doubling. Right. So that's that. I mean, Kyrie Irving is above and beyond a better offensive player. And Kyrie Irving is not a slouch defensively, but I think De'Aaron Fox is that much better defensively. So I have him just above Kyrie at number 3, at my number 3 top point guard this season. And he's averaging 29 points a game. And 6 assists and 2 steals and shooting the free throw 84%. 5 rebounds as well. So I mean, he's playing phenomenal. So De'Aaron Fox is number 3, and then my number 2 is Steph Curry. Steph Curry is number 2. Now, you ask if I'm valuing defense, why is Steph Curry so high on the list? It's because of the results. It's because of him being the number 1, him being the guy who leads this team, who's the guy that everyone game plans to stop, and he still somehow comes out and get what he needs to get for his team to get a W. And he has his team playing phenomenal basketball. So I don't think Steph is a better defender than Kyrie. I don't think he's a better defender than Fox. I don't think he's a better defender. Him and Melo's probably even, right? But you can't hate on the results of him leading his team to these wins and multiple championships and all that stuff. And he's still playing at the level he was playing at when he was getting MVP. So, it's gonna be hard to take him off that throne. So number 2 is where I got him. And his minutes are down. I think they're trying to preserve him. He's already missed a couple of games, 2 or 3 games, and he's only averaging 23 points a game. But they're saving him for the playoffs, and they're winning still. So the numbers don't matter that much to me. And this is the crazy thing with my top 5 list. Even if I counted LUKA Doncic as a point guard, he probably still would have been on my second team. Because I think this top 5 is so solid, and the only one that can be an argument is number 5 with Melo. And then that can be Morant, that can be Brunson, that can be Dame, Trey, or LUKA. If I counted LUKA as a point guard, that number 5 spot is high, but everything above 5, 4 to 1 is on lock. Nobody's touching that, right? So my number 1 point guard for the 2024-25 season is none other than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA, leading his team to the best record in the West. He lost his number 2 in Chet, so he's got to figure some things out to make sure he can keep that team afloat until he gets back. They probably need to go and sign some free agents. I will go get Dwight Howard because they got 2 of their centers out. They just went and signed the backup Hartenstein from New York Knicks this summer, but he's hurt, had surgery. He hasn't played yet this season. And then they lost Chet a couple of weeks ago. So they're playing small ball a lot. They need to sign somebody, right? Because they don't want to drop too far in the West, and they don't want SGA to have to do too much heavy lifting. Right. So SGA is my number 1. So SGA number 1, Steph number 2, De'Aaron Fox number 3, Kyrie number 4, Lamelo Ball number 5. That's my top 5 point guards for this season. And then of course my second team was Morant, Garland, Brunson, Holiday, Dame, and Trey. LUKA Doncic is not a point guard. He's a small forward. And that's it for my point guards, man. Let's move on to shooting guards.